song and we'll go live. We're going to do it live.
Welcome to the Tea Party with Marty Abernathy, a show by an ultra-feminine, meek, shy, totally unopinionated trans woman that seeks to listen to both sides and does not make fun of TERFs. You've listened to the show, right? You still want me to say this? Okay. Here's your host, Marty Abernathy.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's version of the Tea Party. If you want, I'm gonna bring this up. Hello. Oh, wow. My lights. Oh, actually, that's okay. I was looking at. By the way, if you want to actually have a little chat, you can come on Google Meets here, and we can chat live. Some random geek in the chat. Tonight. By the way, I was peaking last show, sound-wise, so if I am too loud, please let me know. Welcome to the Tea Party. I am Marty Abernathy. I am this show's going to be weird tonight because I don't have a lot of audio. I don't have a lot of video, but I do want to talk about something that is fucked up, and it is cancel culture, a la not really cancel culture. It is accountability culture, actually. And what sparked this, actually, is I probably do have some videos that I play. But I got into a long Twitter spat this morning, and it just was really frustrating. And it was concerning one of our favorite, quote, bread tubers, ContraPoints. And I want to, let's switch over to the desktop. Some random geek in the chat is very surprised that I'm talking about cancel culture. Or what I'm not even going to call it that anymore. It's accountability culture is what it is. It's literally when people are held accountable for the words that they say. And one thing, hold on. I think I'm going to cough. I love the cough button. It's one of those things that literally is a vestige of white supremacy, because white people in particular, are used to not being held accountable for their actions or their words or just anything that they put out in society. And you see it every day. All the Karen videos, all the they say Kyle videos, but whatever you want to call them, white people having a fit because they are held accountable for the words that they say. And that's what cancel culture is. It's people being held accountable for the words. So, ooh, let's see. That's on my VLC player. That's not on Opera. Let's have a look. Here it is partly. This person, what the trans, said, okay, can anybody explain what happened with ContraPoints? Like, I haven't seen any Breadtube videos in months. I am totally clueless. Can anyone help me out? And Alex H says she was finishing up doing a follow to Justice, but it involved reading a lot about Justice and written a lot about it. She's doing Q&As on Patreon. She has talked publicly about the lengthy process of her video essays and personal struggles. And what the trans says, oh, I don't mean that. I mean, that doesn't sound bad. You know what? If she's messed up, I hope she apologizes. If she hasn't, hope she isn't getting shit for no reason. And I hope everyone is okay. And I said, I said, what? She said, Jesus, at a certain point, this has to be because people enjoy it. If someone is like, want to heal the rift, don't know how, and you scream at that person, that doesn't feel right. I said, what? You are concerned for a person whose brand is literally pissing people off. I mean, it's in her fucking name. ContraPoints. The point is controversy. Do you not get like the name? That's all part of the gig. That's part of that's oh. So and I I'm just shocked that people like literally continue to go down this road when it comes to Natalie Wynn. Damsel in Dystopia says, I mean, you don't have to love everything somebody has ever done to hope that they're doing okay. I have my disagreements with Natalie Wynn, but she's still a person. You know what? My mom's still a person. My mom did awful things to me. She's still a person. Kathy Brennan has done awful things to me. She's still a person. What kind of shit is that? When people do bad things, awful things, just because they are people doesn't mean they shouldn't be held accountable for their words. And I said, I'm supposed to be concerned for her, but the non-binary people that have been hurt by her, are they not people too? She comes back and says, I don't think being concerned for Natalie Wynn's well-being implies not being concerned for other people who have been hurt by her various fuck-ups. You don't have to monster somebody to be critical of their ideas or behavior. And I said, accountability isn't monstering. And she said, accountability to who? Through what structures? And that's the thing that got me going. I responded to a piece that I did in Trans Advocate called Confessions of an Ex-Transgender, an XX transgender. Basically, I was ex-transgender at one point. And it was the basis for Trans Advocate. It's why Trans Advocate even got started. Because I was working through trauma and some of it I caused myself. And that's the thing. When it comes down to this type of thing, there has to be some sort of redemption. You can't just go, oops, I'm sorry. There's a very good possibility that the religious, I wouldn't say tirade, but the damage that I did when I was ex-transgender very well could have harmed trans people and to the point of suicide. I have to live with that because I was basically making trans people that were struggling with their spirituality and their Christian walk and their trans walk, because I couldn't deal with it myself. And in 2000, when my life imploded on me and I had to come to terms with the fact that I was trans, that all these different parts of it, then I started to understand what I'd done, who I'd hurt, and writing about it was a way for me to heal. And founding Trans Advocate was a way for me to give back to the community, to help build up the community, to help build community. When I say people like Natalie Wynn haven't done that kind of work, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, literally, welcome Bobby and Jamie J in the chat. But literally, like, unless when you fuck up, unless you have a mea culpa and then do the work, you haven't done anything. You just said, oops, I'm sorry. You've pulled a shoe on head. Essentially, for me, there are two kinds of people when it comes to this kind of thing. There are people that are grifting on it. They don't apologize because they don't feel like they have anything to apologize for. It's like shoe on head. She literally, let me see. Let's have a look. Shoe on head ape. Shoe on head. Are the tweets still there? Yes. Like, literally. Who was it? Leslie Jones. Shoe on head compared her to a gorilla, a black woman. And this, let's have a look.
Anti-SJWs lost their goddamn minds. And this is the Anti-SJW Cringe Compilation, Volume 2. Some of you might remember that a few years ago, I began to speak out against the anti-SJW community. I didn't want to be a part of it because I believed what they were doing was ultimately bad for society. I spoke out and said that I believed their one-sided outrage towards the left, while mostly giving the right a pass, was pushing people to the right and very well might help Donald Trump be elected. And I took a ton of shit for saying so. So I thought I would use this series of videos to point out some of the things these anti-SJWs have been saying and doing over the past couple years that many of us believed was incredibly toxic and made us want nothing to do with these people. And nothing illustrates this better than what happened in July of 2016. Donald Trump's campaign for the presidency of the United States was in full swing. He was traveling the nation, giving rallies, telling people that he believed global warming was a hoax, laying out his plan to rescind almost all environmental protections, explaining how he was going to cut funding for the poor while giving billionaires tax cuts, explaining how he was going to suck the dicks of evangelical Christians every chance he got, just laying his entire shitty agenda out piece by piece. But the vast majority of anti-SJW channels completely ignored that and focused on the really important things, like the Ghostbusters 3 movie. The Amazing Atheist made at least 4 videos about the Ghostbusters movie. Chris Raygun was in at least 3 videos about it. Armored Skeptic did 3 videos about it. Sargon did a video about it. Some black guy did a video about it. Undoom did it. Thunderfoot did it. Even alt-right shithead Milo Snuffleupagus was writing articles about it for Breitbart, about how Ghostbusters is just feminist propaganda. And of course, Shoe on Head's right there to retweet him and signal boost for him. LOL, Nero. Perfect timing as always. You go, Nero. You're awesome. Anti-SJWs literally made hundreds of videos about this goddamn movie. And it's kind of weird because half these anti-SJW videos were about how this movie is obviously feminist propaganda. Fucking SJW feminists, ruining everything. I dare you make a movie that attempts to appeal to half the population.
We're going to pass forward
really
a little bit.
Human. You ain't got to treat them like regular folk. Calling black people apes is literally one of the main racial slurs used by racists to dehumanize black people and justify racism for hundreds of years. Yeah, I know. Dusty, you're just being politically correct. You're an SJW. Well, look, folks, I'm fine with that. If thinking that you're a shithead for calling black people apes makes me an SJW, then I'm a fucking SJW. Proud to be one. And look, folks, I'm not a huge Leslie Jones fan. I've seen some things she's done that I thought was funny, like the Naked and Afraid thing they did on Saturday Night Live. I thought she was really funny in that and actually really brave. And I've seen other things that she's done that I didn't like at all. But regardless of that, she seems like a really nice and decent person to me. She seems like a really sweet and sensitive human being, which is why it was so heart-wrenching when she got on Twitter and talked about how hurt and broken she was by all the racial slurs people were throwing at her and all the insults about her appearance, and just how sad she was by all the hate, relentlessly being attacked by people just trying to act like the biggest shithead.
So you have to realize this right here, this is a man that was a chud. He was a right-wing chud. He was just like he used to do videos that were just like Shoe on Heads. The difference is he's owned his own stuff. And he's talked about other people's indiscretions in social media. I mean, this is literally Shoe on Head.
Apparently a planned attack against her from 4chan. I don't know the whole story. People sending her racist things, pictures of gorillas. I'm laughing.
She looks like a man.
She looks...
That's
she's
not
ugly.
racist.
She's just ugly.
She's
yeah, it's
ugly.
not racist. First of all...
It's not racist, but it is. So, I mean, you have people like this. And then you have people like Dusty, who has owned his issues. He's owned the stuff that he's done. And that is something that Natalie Wynn has not at all. She's not apologized. She's not done any videos to kind of explain, especially one of the things that I pointed out to this What the Trans person is that she has not apologized. She has not. I mean, that's my biggest thing with her is she's been like this part accountable to who through what structures. You do the right thing. It's not about any structure. It's about the platform that you have. If you have a small platform like this show, then you have a small responsibility to your listeners. If you have a large platform, then you have a large responsibility because the things that you do can impact lives. They can harm lives. They're Bobby is it Havens in the chat says, are there instances where people get canceled for small dumb things that almost everybody does when they ain't thinking? Absolutely. It has happened to me multiple times. Here's the thing. The reality is that it is accountability culture. People don't get canceled. They are accountable to what they have said and done. I know this myself. When I was writing for Trans Advocate, I made the mistake of writing out the N-word. I did so in the context of RuPaul saying the T slur multiple times, thinking that he could say that. And I was just saying, what if I called you the F slur and the N slur? But I spelled it out. And I got dragged by Black Twitter. The reality is, what did I do? I pulled myself back. I'm actually writing a post about it right now. I took those comments down, although I have them archived on archive.org or archive.is, so that they're there for history. I'm not trying to hide it because it was something I did. So Bobby, you're asking, what did Natalie do this time? That's the thing. That's the thing. That's what the trans was asking. Like asking what she's done this time. And that's just it. There are multiple things that she's done to multiple communities. If you know the history, and you don't have to go very far for this. You don't have to go very far at all to see where here, hold on. When it comes to Buck Angel, for example, I said, what are you concerned for? A person's brand who's literally pissing people off, not apologizing or doing any further work than laying low only to do it again. That's exactly what Bobby's asking. What did Natalie do this time? Because she has a fucking history of it. And she's what the trans is asking about what's going on with Natalie. And I said, they said, I'm seeing no good. I said, what are you concerned with for a person whose brand is literally pissing people off, not apologizing or doing any further work and then laying low only to do it again? And what the trans says, I am not seeing any good reason for it. Like, what am I missing here? And I said, good reason for what? The Buck Angel stuff? And I pointed to 2 videos.
So on the 2nd of January 2020.
There's one here that's 24 minutes long from Essence of Thought. Talks about the worship of abuser, domestic abuser, Buck Angel. Goes in, and here's the thing about Essence of Thought. Ethel. She is very precise in her language, in what she does, and she literally footnotes everything in her and here's the thing. Like, you literally can go into each section of this. In fact, let's play 114.
Another thing we need is some context as to where Natalie was with the non-binary community when Opulence came out. Because, as much as some people might like to pretend, the problems with Natalie didn't start with Opulence. You see, by this point, Natalie had repeatedly made a series of statements about the non-binary community that many of its members found either ignorant or hurtful. And whilst Natalie would sometimes pay them lip service, hell, she even brought them up in cancelling, she never actually addresses the issues behind what she said. As I went on to discuss in my response to said section, many of said comments are passed off as some sort of middle-aged moment. And yes, it's difficult not to see the similarities between Natalie and a certain infamous author in hindsight. So by the time Opulence came out on the 13th of October 2019, Natalie was already under a lot of scrutiny. I personally didn't feel she was being malicious with her previous comments. I was even making fan art of her and running to her to let her know when I'd seen her jokes in places I hung out. So her reaction and the response of others around her took me by surprise. Not only was she failing to address the concern non-binary people had over the inclusion of Buck Angel, a person who has a long history of gatekeeping and ambiphobia, but she was glorifying him. When Buck Angel stated that he was honored to have been a part of the video, Natalie responded with, quote, "Honored you to have a part in it? What an iconic fashion moment," end quote. This was on the 15th of October. 2 days after her video, Opulence, had gone out and the non-binary community had made the issue known to her. At this point, I could no longer pretend there wasn't a problem. So I made a single post about what had happened, noting Buck Angel's connections to former comedy writer turned professional transphobe Graham Linehan, and left it there. That was until cancelling came out. In said essay, Natalie not only downplayed the then obvious ambiphobia Buck Angel harbored, but she tried to cast those who criticized some of Buck Angel's more abusive actions in a very unfavorable light, as seen in sections like this one.
And if the true scum allegation isn't strong enough to prove it, oh, they have other pieces of evidence to fall back on to hold up their conclusion. For example, here's a tweet claiming, "Natalie's trying so fucking hard to make it sound like the only thing Buck Angel ever did was write a few iffy tweets, and that's just so fucking far from the truth. Dude launched a targeted tabloid harassment campaign outing a trans woman against her will with the specific intent of causing her physical, emotional, and professional harm. The shorter way of saying that is that he wanted to make her suffer, and she very well could have been killed." Yikes. This ain't it, Chief. Friendly reminder that this isn't a good look. Maybe don't try to get trans women killed? Disappointing. It sounds pretty serious. Let's investigate. Here's what I've managed to piece together. Scene 1. The year is 2003. Los Angeles, where the movie world, the porn world, and the BDSM scene come together in a tale of heartbreak, betrayal, and transsexualism. La La Land. Dramatis personae. Buck Angel, transsexual porn star. Ilsa Strix, dominatrix, then wife of Buck Angel. Lana Wachowski, wildly successful director of The Matrix, at the time not yet out as a transgender woman. The synopsis is that Ilsa Strix and Buck Angel's marriage ended after Ilsa had an affair with Lana Wachowski, who was not yet out as trans. So Buck was understandably upset about the affair, and in what seems like a petty act of revenge, told a series of magazines that this celebrity director Wachowski was a cross-dresser who had stolen his wife, which I guess was the information he had at the time. So, is that outing a trans woman against her will. Well, in retrospect, it seems like it, though that may not be what he thought he was doing at the time. But to really get to the bottom of this, we have to do some digging. We have to trawl through the dirty details of trans people's personal histories, which I've noticed is one of the internet's favorite activities. So I actually went on eBay and I purchased Rolling Stone issue 991, January 2006, and I'm finally able to reveal that the seller canceled the order. God damn it. But I was finally able to track down and translate a Spanish version.
We're gonna go forward a bit because basically she's wrong in her timeline, basically.
You belong.
Except as a trans person who is also a survivor of domestic abuse, I am strongly impacted by the presence of Buck Angel. So it is my fucking business. Because, make no mistake, Buck Angel's actions towards Karen Winslow and Lana Wachowski between 2006 and 2014 do amount to domestic abuse. For those that don't know, Lana Wachowski was one of Karen Winslow's clients back in 2001, a time in which Karen was using her sex worker name Isla Strix, as she worked as a dominatrix. At the time, her business was managed by then-husband Buck Angel, who was starstruck with Lana, being a massive fan of the Matrix movie. Now, by 2002, Lana's then-wife, Thea Bloom, sought divorce over both financial and personal reasons, explaining that the decision was primarily based on, quote, very intimate circumstances, concerning which I do not elaborate at this time for reasons of her personal privacy, end quote. With the assumption the article hopes the reader jumps to being pretty obvious from the surrounding context. Now, eventually, Karen and Lana fell in love with one another, leading Karen to tell Buck this in 2003, resulting in their divorce. Heartbroken, Buck Angel went on to remarry by the end of the year. What's interesting to me is this is a move that appears to have improved Karen's mental health significantly, with the article reading, quote, I know she was happy, says Nicolette. Right before she went to the Cannes Film Festival, she called me and said, I have my own place. I feel like a different person. I feel renewed. I'm exercising again. I'm doing yoga. I'm being healthy, end quote. Sadly for Karen and Lana, Buck Angel wasn't quite done with his ex-wife. Fast forward 3 years and Lana's latest movie, V for Vendetta, is scheduled to premiere, leading to renewed interest.
Get that. 3 fucking years. 3 years after the divorce.
In the Wachowskis, who had written the script. Now, Lana had been openly denying claims, both of cross-dressing and taking HRT, since around the time she appeared on the red carpet for the premiere of The Matrix Reloaded in 2003. This was well known, with multiple journalists covering said rumors being named in the Rolling Stones article. And so, Buck Angel saw a way to maximize the damage he could inflict upon his ex-wife, in targeting not just her privacy, sharing intimate details of her sex work, but by outing Lana in 2006. This was not some bullshit crime of passion. This was a cold and calculated act of abuse.
3 years after a divorce. 3.
Conducted a whole 3 years after their divorce. And to clarify, going after an ex-partner and their new partner is covered under domestic abuse, as is the usage of outing. This was not a scandal, as we think in the rather trivializing manner of over-the-top gossip. This was publicly visible domestic abuse, and it did not stop with the Rolling Stones article in 2006. This continued as late as 2014, a mere 6 years before Natalie's glowing defense of Buck Angel. In another interview following another divorce, Buck Angel was asked about his relationship with Karen, to which he responded by lashing out with, quote, Isla Strix, that's her dominatrix name, that was her real name, end quote. To be clear, Karen had stopped using her sex worker name in 2003 when she left Buck Angel and stopped working for a business he managed. And while she does have a website with that name, that's mostly to ensure she's still credited with the roles she acted under whilst working with that name. Read any modern coverage of Karen and Lana, and nobody reports on her using.
Anyways, so basically, you can go through these videos, and you can see. I mean, there are points when let's actually look. She documents the defense of Buck Angel, how Buck Angel's actions amounted to domestic abuse. That's what we just watched. Natalie lied about how difficult it was to find the article. Buck Angel's public acts of abuse are not private. Natalie pretends like bad people can only do one thing wrong. And here's that right there. So you're talking about this one is 24 minutes. So that's not that long, right? So here's another one. This one's an hour long. But this is literally, and again, you have a transcript. You have footnotes of the entire thing. This isn't just her opinion. She has everything footnoted. And she's responding as a non-binary person. My biggest issue in all this is that she doesn't, because what the trans says, I am not seeing why Contra is on the hook for everything Buck Angel has said and done. Because in this video, she's literally defending what he said and done. It becomes her problem when she is forwarding a narrative that is not true. It is her problem. And then I said, you didn't watch the videos. I'm shocked. You're saying it doesn't track. Because she, what the trans said, that is me not saying that Buck on everything was fine. It wasn't at all. But this whole, she is okay with every single thing he has ever done thing doesn't track. And I said, you didn't watch the videos. I'm not shocked, because I literally, I gave those links, and she reposted this, or she posted this literally 5 minutes later. So didn't watch either one of the videos to know that there was a response by a non-binary person, and there's tone deafness to that. And I said that. She said, no, I didn't watch 2 hours of video by someone who blocked me over God knows what. I watched the first point, checked it, and it didn't add up. Which point is that? Never says. And Jamie J said in the chat, I was hearing shit about Buck Angel back in 2010s from people who worked with him in Eugene. That's the thing. This isn't a surprise. Buck Angel has been a shithead for quite a long time. In his early days, he was good, sex positive, and trans advocate. I did promote him. But then he started saying really awful stuff. So, anyways, they said tone deafness. I'm not saying saying she did nothing wrong. I am saying that 2 things she did wrong were blown out of proportion, and the rest of the accusations have been, she gives off trans med vibes. Like, what is a vibe? Where are the images of her being, quotes of her being at her worst? I keep getting people saying they exist. Where are they? And I said, not everyone is Glenner. Sometimes they're WP UK, Women's Place UK. They just want to protect sex-based rights. This is a group that is very careful in what they say. They won't come out and say awful things about trans people, they'll couch it in language that's full of dog whistles that trans people and allies understand what they're saying. Because there's no such thing in the UK as sex-based rights. So basically what they want to do is get rid of trans people's rights. She said, I don't know how to identify a vibe other people are feeling, especially about someone I haven't watched in 2 years. Well, and that's the thing that irritates me the most about this whole thing. You'll have people that'll be on Natalie's side, that will be siding with her and not knowing. And when you point them to content that tells you exactly from a non-binary person's position, she doesn't respond at all. She didn't respond at all to Ethel. Zero, nada, nothing. You know, here's the thing. When it comes to stans, I call them ContraStans. They literally, it's confirmation bias. And if you wonder what confirmation bias is, there's 3 types. There's research bias, interpretation bias, and memory bias. Confirmation bias is how we all tend to prefer the information or news that confirms what we already believe rather than challenging it. This can work in 3 ways, and it tells about that. There have been studies done on this. It's not something that is in question. It exists. People have confirmation bias, and this plays into stan culture. Basically, stans are fans to the point of being toxic because they will defend their object of reverence with anything that is said and done. Some random geek in the chat said, I was like, who is Buck Angel? But it didn't take long to see Buck Angel as a piece of shit who is still a person. Just seeing what he says about non-binary people is enough for me. He still holds those views, and he's never apologized for them. When you're standing, when you're fan girl or guying someone to the point of nothing they do where there's no accountability in anything that they do, even when they repeatedly fuck up. Because look, Natalie's had the stuff with non-binary people, the stuff with Buck Angel, and most recently, she has stood up for someone that got Leslie, I forget what her name. Anyways, doesn't matter. She makes excuses for Leslie Jones, I believe. Was it Leslie Jones? Anyways, Leslie Ellis, that's correct. For Leslie Ellis and something that she fucked up on. And here's the thing. Everybody's saying, Leslie Ellis got canceled. She got canceled. She quit Twitter. She didn't get canceled. You can't cancel yourself. Oh, I just realized I can put user in timeout on YouTube. Oh, I didn't realize I could do that from here. Ha! Learn something new every day. I'm not going to do that though, Jamie. But like Lindsay Ellis didn't get canceled. She quit. So, I mean, that's that's like saying Pierce Morgan got canceled. He fucking walks off the show, and then people say he got canceled. It's absurd. It's absolute. It just drives me crazy. I think everyone, people in the chat are talking about putting people in timeout. I'm not putting anyone in timeout, but I just realized I could do it from here. But I was saying there's a vibe. What the trans said, WPK isn't a vibe. It's their founding principles. Nobody here has explained what vibe means. I said the difference between the words of Glenner, and by the way, this is Glenner. He is a troll. He is an out and out transphobe doing things like this. It's obvious. And then you have people in WPUK that are more, they're transphobic, but they use dog whistles. They talk about sex-based rights. They don't do this. I mean, and Natasha Kennedy said the difference between open and concealed hate, in my opinion. And that's exactly what this is. And you can read WPUK's literature and get a vibe. You can tell because of the dog whistles that they're transphobic. So when you have people like Natalie, and in fact, something else that I pointed out and no one ever does respond to is Natalie's recent and this damsel dystopia pointed, this is actually from their blog, and they're supporting Natalie. Like all social media discourse, contra discourse plays out in an ever repeating cycle. When we'll do or say something problematic, such as a previously mentioned collaboration with Angel, or express puzzlement at trans women when she deems to be in full-on boy mode using she/her pronouns. Hundreds of people will respond variously, justified criticism, understandable anger, and some truly unacceptable behavior ranging from harassment to attempted doxing. Wynn responds by becoming upset or angry, often withdrawing from Twitter for a short time to escape the backlash. Days or weeks, days or weeks of arguments around the incident, the backlash to the backlash ensues. Repeat and rinse. And she comes back and she says, I also said this. It's not part of her grift. It's a result of being in an unhealthy relationship between movement and prominent individual. Fair enough if you disagree, but I don't appreciate being taken out of context. That's not out of context. And this flea bite person says, I disagree that this is the majority. I didn't say it was the majority. I said this is her routine. This is for the past year and a half. This has been what she does. It's a cycle. The latest one is she listed a bunch of phrases, one that she used in that video, that were phrases appropriated by AAVE. And I covered this in the last show. She appropriated the language and then she wants to discard it. And people were talking about how racist that was. Nobody talks about it. And it annoys me to no fucking end. Because again, there are black folks in her comments. Let me see if I can find it. I said, so someone that has a large platform who messes up a few times shouldn't be held accountable until they reach the Hayton, when I was talking about Debbie Hayton, threshold. With great power / platform comes great responsibility. The people you harm when messing up, it's not hard to do, but it takes humility through the structures you've harmed in the first place, your platform. Feigning ignorance when given proof, and that's the thing. She won't watch videos. This person won't watch videos, but she'll say, I don't see the problem. I've showed you the problem. It's been documented. It's been footnoted, for fuck's sake. Ethel literally footnotes this shit. So you can go look yourself. She gives timestamps. I think it was it was here you go. This person says, it's hilarious how anti-black this post is and all the white people just loving it. I swear y'all tell on yourself all the damn time. And that's her going through all these things that were appropriated from AAVE and she decides aren't cool anymore. And again, this was in March. Has she apologized for it? Fuck no. Has she made a video about it? Fuck no. Because this is her grift. This is what she does. And there are people that posted, man, I knew something that felt off about this post, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And literally there are people getting mad about that. And of course this has got to be a white guy. Isn't this just a list of commonly used Twitter phrases? I know that many of them started on Black Twitter, but I don't see how just listing them is inherently negative. And Clover comes back and says the list is heavily implied to be phrases that are bad or cringy. Or not cool anymore. But many of them are AAVE, which is African American Vernacular English. Phrases that were watered down by misuse. Misused by non-black people to the point they are now seen as acceptable to make fun of these phrases, despite their roots and common use still in the black communities. So it's just really bad to imply those phrases are something people should be ashamed of. Fucking boom. It's in the fucking comments. It's in ContraPoint's comments. She doesn't say jack shit about it. Nothing. And again, this is literally just her MO. It's what she's done with non-binary people. It's I mean, after the stuff with Buck, I just said, fuck it, I'm done. I was a patron of hers. I just quietly stopped following her, stopped caring about even seeing her fucking videos. I'm not giving her the traffic, but this is someone that makes $600,000 just off Patreon a year. She makes more than $500,000 a year. And what kills me is it's in her fucking name. Controversy, ContraPoints. Oh, but no, she's just poor her. But nobody's worried about the people that are impacted by what she says and does. Jamie says she made a video about how taking words from AAVE is okay. It's not just taking words. It's taking words, using them to the extreme, and then discarding them like they're not cool anymore. Rainstopper said we drive her to drink. Yeah, that's well, she does enough of that in her videos, but that's the thing. And jokes about it. Alcoholism is funny. Ha ha ha. Anyways, I mean, there's just 50,000 things that are fucking wrong, but my issue isn't honestly with ContraPoints, because she literally is, again, as I've been saying for the last month or so, she is a creation of the algorithm. She's literally a creation of the YouTube algorithm. All these people are. This isn't everybody puts their work up and it gets shown in a linear fashion. I wish I could play a video from a friend of mine. In fact, maybe if I don't show it, maybe if I play the sounds, let's let me see if I can. Let's see if I can find it, because I know they don't want. I know they don't want their video being seen, but being listened to. That would be something different. I think it's in my liked. Oh, actually, this is. I want to play that in a minute. God damn it! There's a guy on YouTube. He does the. You know how you have those videos where they'll say, watch part 2 to learn how blah blah blah. He's like, fuck the part 2. They died. Like there's this woman had a pet alligator for 5 years. Fuck the part 2. She fell down and the alligator ate her. Oh, is it this one?
I just got a comment requesting me to expand upon the concept of class reductionism. And unfortunately, this is a...
No, actually, God damn it. Let's see if I can bring that. Reopen, close tab. Please, 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 please. I don't know if I can find it.
Hey, so I privated that last video I did on Joe Biden. Some of y'all pointed out that Joe Biden was just being almost
2% of the world's population, so 150.
You see, I actually don't think that that's necessarily. Yeah, the political compass is mostly BS.
Almost 2%.
Find it.
Hey, dear YouTube, stop autoplaying John Oliver after every video I watch. Stop autoplaying fucking The Daily Show with Trevor Noah after everything I watch. Dear TikTok, stop putting Destiny on my For You page, please. Fuck Destiny.
That was it. But that's exactly That is exactly my point. Like, those things are on your For You page. They are on the YouTube when the videos that automatically play after you've played the video that you want to watch. Those videos are there for a reason. It's the algorithm. They literally are telling you what to watch. They're putting these things thinking that you will want to watch them. They are creating these stars, is what they are. Jamie said, I don't know if you have the time. What? Jordan Jones P says ContraPoints more like points to the right. LOL. Here's the thing, and so I'm sorry, but Dusty Smith is the person that has been saying this. That kind of language is the what the right is using now. Cancel culture, and it's bullshit. I mean, literally, cancel culture is not a thing. Name one person that has been canceled. I can show you a bunch of fucking chuds that have lost their job because they went in somewhere and said, oh, I don't have to wear a fucking mask. And they got fired. And that's just, sorry, that's accountability culture. That's not cancel culture. That's called, if you went out in the middle of the fucking road in your city and you jacked off and somebody came and videotaped it and put it on the news, you would lose your job. It's accountability. It's absurd. Jamie, were you talking about Chapo Trap House? Because I am seeing if I can. I'm trying to see if I can play this, but I wonder, do you know like where? God damn it. Unfortunately, Jamie, I can't. Let me see. All I can do is show or hide. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I can't click on that link. Let me see if I can go to YouTube. Because if you say that I need to play it, then I probably do need to play it. My YouTube channel, and I'm live, and I don't want to play anything. Then I probably do need to play it. Okay. Thank you, Jonathan. Oh, this is from Captain Andy. Of course we'll fucking play it. Let's play this. We won't play music because I don't know if it's copyright claimed or not. This is Captain Andy. He was actually on Social Justice Alchemy last week with me, I think.
Years back, popular YouTube atheist Pat Condell came out in support of UKIP, a political party known for their racism, xenophobia, homophobia, Islamophobia, anti-secularism, and pseudoscience. When certain members of the YouTube atheist community appealed to another popular YouTube atheist, Thunderfoot, to speak out against this, his response was not to shame Pat Condell for his bigotry, but rather to shame his critics for supposedly dividing the house of atheism. Further, when people who spoke out against Pat Condell received not only abuse but death threats from Pat Condell's supporters, Thunderfoot again didn't shame those making the threats. Rather, he shamed those being threatened, saying that they had brought it upon themselves by speaking out. The reason I'm mentioning this now isn't to point out that Thunderfoot is a bigot and a coward. Anyone who hasn't figured that out yet is most likely a bigot and a coward themselves. Rather, I'm trying to illustrate an example of something Martin Luther King once described. First, I must confess that over the last few years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in the stride toward freedom is not the white citizens' councillor or the Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate, who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice. When the likes of Thunderfoot tell people not to divide the house, they are proposing a negative peace. They are showing that they are more interested in social order than they are in social justice. So Thunderfoot doesn't like social justice. Hardly news, is it? But something that has increasingly frustrated me over the last few years has been people who profess to support social justice, yet fail to see that they are making the same arguments. Whenever
And that right there is what kills me in this. When it comes to the people that are trans allies, they will stand for. I tried in this if you go look at the thread, I can post it in the chat if you want, but you can look at the thread, or you can go to UK Trans Advocate on Twitter, and you can look at the replies, but they're all there. But like, if you're on someone's quote side, then when you stand for them, you literally will not criticize them at all, even when they fuck up. You'll make excuses for them. And then that's what kills me. Then you'll be so angry when TERFs fuck up. And you'll be like, oh, looky there. Look at there, you TERF. Yeah, gotcha. I mean, that's the thing. You're relentless when it comes to your enemies, but the person that you adore, you block them off from any criticism at all. Period. End of story.
Or others who think similarly have argued with white feminists, trans exclusionary radical feminists, sex worker exclusionary radical feminists, and other such opponents of intersectionality. I often find myself faced with phrases like, we're all on the same side here, or we need to focus on the real enemy, or we can't let trivial differences tear us apart, or stop being divisive. I'd like to address these tiresome stock phrases in reverse order. To cries of stop being divisive, I have to ask, what is wrong with being divisive? So often, people seem to take it as a given that being divisive is a bad thing, that they never stop to question whether or not it actually is.
Well, and here's the thing. And this is actually, what was weird about this conversation between this What the Trans person is I literally recorded an audio. Granted, it was about 40 minutes long, but I explained because they seemed like they weren't getting the point that I was getting at, and I was trying to explain it in a very rational and a very calm way. And then, and they were DMing me like crazy, like saying all this stuff. And I literally was saying stuff back. And one of the things that I said is that when I like someone and they fuck up, they deserve more of my attention, not less. You shouldn't give, and I gave the example of Monica Roberts. Monica Roberts is now passed on, and we miss her. She was a giant in the trans community in America, and she passed last year, and it was really a sad thing. But she fucked up. She fucked up. Her and another one of her friends were talking about Kathy Brennan. Kathy Brennan is a TERF that is awful. I'm not going to lie. She's absolutely awful. There was a tweet that she tweeted at me when I was running Trans Advocate. I'll show you. She went to this little rad femme retreat and literally made these paper dolls that said sorry about your dick. And there's a neo vagina there on this one. And this one's got a beard shadow and breasts and a vagina. And I don't even know what it said. I don't know. So this is the kind of person she was, right? When you're talking about somebody like that, they are human beings. They have probably went through some horrible shit, but when they do shit like that, you call them on it. I'm sure Kathy has her demons, and there are reasons why she did what she did. And they're as Jamie said, they're icky. But it's absurd to accuse people of being divisive or being. Anyways, I'm going to continue with this.
In my experience, there are some people well worth being divided from. For example, as
yeah, I agree.
As a secular humanist who, as per the IHEU minimum statement, believes in the building of a more humane society, I am very much divided from atheists like Thunderfoot, who work in the opposite direction, to a world that is cruel and unjust and largely social Darwinist. The same goes for those who follow Randian objectivism, Anton LaVey's Church of Satanism, and state atheism, a la Joseph Stalin. Secular humanism very much divides me from these people, and long may it continue to do so. So similarly, when I or anyone of a similar mindset declares themselves to be an intersectional feminist and a supporter of social justice, we are dividing ourselves from white feminists, TERFs, SWERFs, and other non-intersectional forms of feminism that do not tessellate with the broader concept of social justice. Not merely by accident, but by design. The qualifier intersectional is there for a reason.
Well, that and what I was getting at before is with the story of Kathy. She's awful, and you can't. But I'm sure she has reasons for doing what she did. But people on her side. I want to get back to. I want to go back and I want to tell the story. So Monica Roberts was having a discussion with a friend about this person, about Kathy Brennan. Kathy Brennan's a horrible person. She's not, I'm not going to say she's a horrible person. I can't say that. I don't know her. She's done horrible things, specifically to me. And with that being said, Monica was joking around with a friend talking about if Kathy Brennan ever stepped out in front of her car. And this other person said, I would not put on the brakes. I would just turn on the windshield wipers. And it got really gruesome. And she was a really good friend and ally and to me from Trans Advocate. She was a writer at Trans Advocate. Monica Roberts was. And as a trans person, especially a trans person of color, she was amazing. But she fucked up. And I called her on it. People in our community that fuck up, we should call them out more because we should expect more from them. Otherwise, you're just having this partisan divide where you only hold people accountable when they're on your side. And that's bullshit. So I'm going to continue with this video.
When people say, we can't let trivial differences tear us apart, they are most worryingly declaring that racism, transphobia, and prejudice towards sex workers are somehow trivial issues when compared to sexism. This is a pretty bigoted attitude to hold, not to mention a nonsensical one given as sexism overlaps with all of those prejudices.
Yeah, it's funny. Transphobia and sex work, they're well, even racism is it taps in bodily autonomy. It taps into transphobia is rooted in misogyny.
Additionally, saying that something is tearing us apart implies we were yoked together in the first place. We weren't. Intersectional feminists and supporters of social justice more broadly are, by definition, pulling in a completely different direction to white feminists, TERFs, and SWERFs. What about these cries of, we need to focus on the real enemy?
Yeah, and that's the thing. When it comes to a situation like this, we're not you can't make it an us versus them thing. You have to call out people when they fuck up on your side. This isn't an us versus them. And it should never be about that. It should be about finding the truth about things, not about making your team win. It's just absurd. Anyways, we'll continue with this.
In my experience, when people are struggling to make a coherent argument, an all too common tactic is to distract from that which is being argued, to change the subject in the hope of fighting a more comfortable and familiar battle. After all, life is so much more simple when viewed in black and white. This argument commits the fallacy of relative privation. Again, declaring sexism to be some sort of supreme prejudice that dwarfs all other prejudices to the point where those guilty of such prejudices aren't anything like bad enough to be considered enemies. This nonsensical creating of hierarchies of prejudices, as opposed to the intersectional kyriarchy of prejudices, is sometimes known as oppression Olympics, and it is a game white feminists, TERFs, and SWERFs love to play. I do not. There are many real enemies to social progress, and perhaps the most insidious are those that pretend to support social progress in order to further their own personal agenda. Hopefully I've made the point that no, we are not all on the same side here, nor do we have anything to gain by pretending to be. A community that claims to be intersectional yet opens its doors to white feminists, TERFs, and SWERFs is a community that has failed at the first hurdle. Such a community is, by default, hostile and exclusionary towards people of color, transgender people, and sex workers. Ergo, such a community is failing to support social justice. To quote Laura Brunel, as with any other social or political movement, fissures and disagreements were present in each wave of feminism. The third wave, to an extent almost unimaginable to the members of the first and second waves before it, was plural and multifaceted, comprising people of many gender, ethnic, and class identities, experiences, and interests. As such, its greatest strength, multivocality, was attacked by some as its greatest weakness. Third wavers countered this criticism by stating that the creation of a unified agenda or philosophy, or at least one that was unified beyond the very general statements offered by groups such as the Third Wave Foundation noted above, groups and individuals working towards gender, racial, economic, and social justice, was a goal that was not only unrealistic, but undesirable. To summarize and reiterate, we are not all on the same side. We should not try to be on the same side. We should not act like we are all on the same side. We do not need to be on the same side.
But even if we are, Andy, on the same side, we need to call people out when they're wrong on our side. You know? It's funny that you should say that, Bobby. Bobby says, it's like Hunter Avalon went from big anti-feminist creationist shitlord, then went to new atheist anti-feminism shitlord, and then finally enlightened centrist breadtuber who sometimes slips back into shitlordism. That's the thing. I understand going from every one of those, but you know what? Unless you have some sort of redemption like Dusty has, then I'm sorry. To me, that's not redemption. To me, that's just you're looking for another fucking grift. You're looking at another way to get more Patreon subscribers. You're looking for another fucking next week's video. So, anyways. Some random geek. We need to focus on the real enemy, the people's front of Judea. No, the Romans. Oh yeah, the Romans. Oh my God. The Life of Brian. I think it's from the Life of Brian. No, maybe it's not. I saw there was oh, Monty Python. No, there's a Monty Python part where they said, "We are the Britons." Oh, it's Monty Python and the Holy Grail, apparently. There's a part of it where he talks about or the Britons. Britons? I don't remember voting for that. Anyways. Yeah, unless you have a redemption arc in the way that who are the Britons? Yeah, Jamie, I'm the same way when it comes to the serfs. I really don't have an opinion one way or another, and that's the thing. That's the thing with this. Even when it comes to ContraPoints, I don't hate ContraPoints. I mean, that's the thing. People will sit there and assume because I am critical of her that I don't like her. I don't fucking know her. I don't know her. She isn't a friend. I'm literally going on what she is saying and doing. That's it. And holding her accountable when she fucks up. But you have these people that will not criticize. That's why it's so fucking toxic. It's literally just tribalism. Oh, we're going to, my team, they might make a mistake, but they didn't mean it. But those other people, they're meanies. They're the mustache twirling evil doers. it's just, and then this really takes the cake. So, what the trans ended up posting this. Literally, this is Natalie's end notes to the aesthetic, and it's literally addressing the stuff that non-binary people criticized, and she's got her points on here, but she never talks to somebody that's non-binary. She never interviews somebody that's non-binary that can exactly do what Ethel from Essence of Thought did. There's absolutely, this is a one-way discussion. And it's all I. It's absurd. Anyways, I'm curious to what you all think about this, because oh, some random geek says, I have no idea. Besides, Teen Vogue is more radical than Jacobin. Here's the thing. When it comes down to it, I just keep thinking about something that Christiosity did when she went to the shitlord atheist conference that is MythCon in Milwaukee. They all had a meetup, and there were people of various shitlords, Carl Benjamin being one of them, at this dinner. She didn't go. She didn't want to associate with these people, but there were other people. The guy from Curious Cat, Vadim, and others that did go. And to me, it reminded me of fucking the sheepdog and the coyote going and hitting the clock at the end of their shift. You know, they all sit around and have fucking cocktails and talk about their fucking grift, because that's what it is. It is a grift at the end of the day. But apparently, if you criticize people, then you are demonized by these. Yeah, creationist cat, Jamie said. You are criticized rather than their object of what would it be? Not envy. Their hero worship. Instead of being critical of them, they'll come after you instead of responding to your criticism. And it's just toxic. It's one of the things about the internet that I hate. Because at the end of the day, these people are just fucking the coyote and the fucking sheepdog clicking out the clock. They don't give a fuck. This is a job. I want to remind you again, ContraPoints makes over $500,000 a year doing this. If you think she's leftist, you're fucked. And if you want to know exactly my thoughts on this, watch Bad Empanada's video on Breadtube, as he goes into it. So, anyways, I think those people that are online that are going to make these kind of quote mistakes need to own up to their mistakes. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's not hard. When I made the mistake with Black Twitter, I stepped back, I reevaluated, I listened, I learned, I moved on. Trans Advocate wouldn't exist if it wasn't for my learning process and my healing process. That was part of it. That was an outgrowth of that. Because I wanted to create a safe space for trans people to write and uplift themselves and have a place where they could speak out. Because at the time, there wasn't really a place for that. So anyways. Bobby in the chat says white privilege is a monstrous thing. And that's the thing in all this. It really does remind me, like, what ContraPoint saying, what should I do? I'm going to get criticized whatever I do. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. Listen to people. When somebody says to you, somebody that's in the community, if a person of color says you're being racist and you're white, listen. If someone in the trans community is saying you're being transphobic, stop, drop, and roll. No. Stop and listen. Take that bias, put it away, and assume that what they're saying is true. Try to see through their eyes. If somebody's saying you're being sexist, same thing. We need to do that as a society. Otherwise, it's just going to be a bunch of fucking teams. Anyways. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. I did have a couple of videos, actually, I wanted to play. Let's see if I can find them. I think I have some videos. Oh, this one. This is not. It's not relevant to what we're talking about.
Trump was banned on multiple social media.
But I thought this was brilliant in talking about the First Amendment. Check this shit out.
Sites this week, with both Twitter and Facebook saying the president had incited violence and violated their terms of service. In response, many, including Donald Trump Jr., are saying that these actions violate the First Amendment by banning free speech. So we're verifying. Are social media companies violating the First Amendment when they ban or block someone from their platform? Our sources are the First Amendment, a report by the Congressional Research Service, and Jay Bender, a former law professor and current attorney for the South Carolina Broadcast Association. The answer is no. Bender explained that the First Amendment limits the government's power.
The First Amendment says Congress shall make no law. That means that nothing the federal government does can restrict speech, press, religion, assembly, and petition.
But what about private companies? Is Twitter also governed by the First Amendment?
No, and since Twitter is, as I understand it,
I thought that was interesting. Just basically, showing that when people say it's a First Amendment, that isn't true. Also, I'm going to play this. It doesn't have anything to do with the free speech, but it does have to do with being funny.
Every time I leave my house, I think about that one Coco Chanel quote that's like, before you leave, take off one item. And then I put on another because fuck that bitch. She was a Nazi.
Fuck that bitch. She was a Nazi, yes. Coco Chanel was a Nazi and fuck her. But anyways,
We're streaming live on YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, Mixer, and Facebook. You can follow us on Facebook by searching for Tea Party Podcast. That's the letter T followed by Party Podcast, all one word. And on Twitter and Instagram at Marty Abernathy. You can financially support the show by making a one-time donation by going to trans.fm or by becoming a monthly patron at patreon.com/Marty Abernathy. That's MartyAbernathy.
That's right. So anyways. Yeah. So that's the show for today. I felt like that I spent all day fucking arguing with someone that wasn't listening. What really pissed me off more than anything was that, like, after I spent all this time, like I made this audio, and she's like, well, now you made this like podcast for me. Now I feel like I have to listen to it. I'm like, you're sitting here trolling me on fucking Twitter and basically playing the whole thing, the whole card of I don't understand, and then I'll give you some facts. I still don't. I'm not going to go looking at that. I don't understand. And I just finally said, she sent me that link to the archive.is. And like that was a final say. And I was like, I'm just going to turn around and tell you what you told me. Because she DM'd me out of the blue. I didn't ask for your DM, and I left it at that. But it's tiresome. When people stand, it's just tiresome. It's gross. It's not healthy for. I mean, it's not leftist. Fuck. It's not intersectional. It's not leftist. There's so many things that it's not, and I just don't have any time for it. I like the content that What the Trans puts out, but Jamie J in the chat said, this is why I don't argue about bigotry anymore. I just block them or make fun of them. I'm not going to do either one of those things, but at the same time, I feel like talking. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm not going to not talk about it. That's why I talked about it on the show, because I think it needs to be, I think that it's not just about shining the light, how they say, sunlight is the best disinfectant. Well, that just isn't just for your enemies. It goes for your friends as well. It goes for people you respect. And I'm not going to give Contra points a pass. I'm not going to give anyone in this community a pass when they fuck up. I'm not giving myself one. We're all imperfect people. That is true. Here's the thing. And I said this in the audio recording that I made. If I back up over your foot, I still injure you. Even if I apologize, your foot's not going to be the same. after it's been broken. You're going to have a scar there. Your bones probably going to feel a little bit different when it rains and that kind of thing. You're never going to be the same regardless. You're going to have scars. You're going to have, regardless of intent or if you're sorry or anything like that. We need to be accountable. We need to be accountable. Bobby Havens in the chat said the autistic community has the same problem. There are people on the spectrum who will defend autism speaks to the death. Obviously, it's not the majority. And that's the thing. People need, and that is a discussion. Here's the thing. When it comes to a subject like that, I'll stand next to an ally, but I'm not going to tell people on the autistic spectrum what I think they should do, because it's not my place to say. There are things that happen on Black TikTok, and I don't form an opinion on them because it's not my place to. I'm not going to form an opinion on something that is not. I'll be supportive of people to engage in that discussion, but I have no place of dominance in it. I have a place of support. As an ally, that's what you do. But if you think something's wrong in a community that you're in, that you should say that. And we should never be against holding our communities accountable within the community itself. I just think it's absurd when people say otherwise. Anyways. I think Jamie J, but I what you're saying about you just block them, I do understand why. If it affects your mental health, then by all means block away. I think that is probably the best thing that you can do. If something's affecting your mental health. By the way, I made a TikTok.
So I had a mutual that was complaining about John Oliver and Destiny.
Oh, that's just what I just talked about. I said you are the product. I'm looking to see if there's any other TikToks that I made this week that I could talk to you about. There's a person that literally
Community.
says,
but here I am, a cis-het woman. What a scam.
You've disrespected your friend.
Here, check this out. Check this out. This is a cis person. This is a cis person. This makes me laugh.
Community. But here I am, a cis-het woman. What a scam.
You've disrespected your friends. So I'm guessing you don't have any close friends in the trans community.
Community. But here
She says nearly all her close friends are in the trans or non-binary community. She literally says, I mean, this is the full thing that she said. Oh, she took the video to private. Nice. Oh, here's something else that pisses me off. So when it's something like this, it's literally this is what they do. They go in with a video they know is going to piss people off. They get their clout from it. They take it to private, and then they retreat, do the same thing over again. Again, these are just shitty things that the algorithm does. Jamie said, if I don't block them, I will fight them. Well, it's funny. My girlfriend, she is hilarious because she doesn't have a lot of time for it. She made me laugh. She said, I want to see if I can find it. I said, I basically made an audio explaining why it was shitty, and then she complained I gave her homework. Oh, no, Siri, bad Siri. I said I should listen to my girlfriend, and she said, "Here goes what you have to say, dear. Fuck you." She doesn't tolerate arguments the way that I kind of do. Dear, fuck you. This is why I love her, and she's awesome. Jamie said, if I don't block them, I will fight with them, and that goes nowhere, except the time that I owned the fuck out of Vosh in a Twitter spat so hard he went completely mask off. That was kind of funny. And that's the thing. That's what I'm getting at. You have to do what you think is best for your mental health. But at the same time, if there are people that you respect, I would expect you more to take them to task than less. Well, I hope someday she'll actually be on the show. That would be fun. She is awesome. I think when you have these heroes, I mean, there's only one good hero. This is the only good hero. This is the only hero that you can trust. Wait a minute. The only hero that you can trust is right here. This is the only hero worth anything. This is your hero. That's the only thing that you should ever put on a pedestal. This is the only hero. I need a hero. Sorry. Yes, you should get a hero sandwich. But Jordan Joan P says, I just block nowadays. I don't have time for trolls, bigots, and jerks. And that's the thing. You have to think about, what is the point? Why are you doing it? My son and I had a long conversation about that, because one of his family members were going off on each other, and they were really conservative. And I asked him, I was just like, I understand you wanting to argue these points, but at the end of the day, what's the point? We had this long discussion, and at the end of it, he agreed. And then, like, oh my God, I want to see if I can find it. So my sister, who I haven't talked to, I haven't talked to my sister in probably 15 years. She posts something to Facebook. I want to see if I can find it. I see a lot of pictures of me being a dork. I'm glad I'm not being able to show this on the screen. I'll say brother. Oh, here we go. So, this is the piece of shit that my sister put on my Facebook page. Like I said, I literally haven't talked to her in 15 years. And my son said to me, he's like, what? Jamie said the blood of the battle is thicker than water of the womb, and I never bled alongside my right wing family members, to be honest. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, fuck her, but my son and I were talking about it, and he just flipped the script on me, and he was like, "What's this going to do?" And I looked at it, and I was like, "There is nothing. My sister is a racist. She's homophobic. I mean, I can go down the list. She says the N word with a complete abandon, and not somebody." Well, the whole thing of this, Jordan Joan P in the chat says, "What a jerk face." The whole thing about it is just how narcissistic it is. I knew you as something, and I want you back like that. Fuck your feelings. It's like the most narcissistic thing ever. And my son was like, "What's the point? What's the point in any response?" So I just blocked her. And a lot of times that is, especially when it comes to people that might know your soft spots. They might know what bothers you, and why expose yourself to that when there's no gain. So I just basically took my son's advice that I gave him. Oh my God. Jamie, did you know that you can solve transphobia with a wood chipper? Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. You're right, Adam. That isn't love, and that's something. But that literally is what blew me away about the whole thing. It wasn't, "I'm concerned for your soul." It was all about, I had something and you took it away from me. That's what I thought was so fucking incredible about that. It's absurd. But it's something that it's not going to get me anywhere. And to be honest with you, my sister has no impact on my life because she's a non-entity. I don't think about her. I don't care about her. I don't want to have anything to do with her. She doesn't hurt me. She doesn't. This whole thing just made me feel like, wow, what a pathetic human being you are. You are more concerned about something that you had rather than my feelings. So, I mean, it didn't do anything. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's not something that I even worry about. It's not something that I'm concerned with because, I don't, that side of my family, my mom's side of the family, I have nothing to do with because they're all toxic. And it's not healthy for me. So fuck it. But when there are times like this with there's some bonding going in on the chat over a wood chipper. I'm just going to ignore that. But y'all are awesome. By the way, Adam, a rain stopper in the chat, says more concerned about something she thought she had than who you actually are, or my feelings and who I actually am. So that's not something that I care about and that I want to have in my life. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Anyways, I do that. My response, I did with this, what the trans person, I did try to have an honest conversation and try to get through all, because sometimes Twitter and text can be really brittle when it comes to getting your point across. So I made that long audio because I wanted to be real and honest. Jordan Joan P says, I'm your sister now, if you like it or not. Also stay out of my room. Actually, I think I would be the older sister by quite a bit. That's what's so ironic too, is that I actually at the age of 50 or 51, I got two sisters, which, because I found out who my dad was, so that was interesting. But and that's the thing too. That's what was so beautiful about that. My dad is he's a bit crotchety. He's a bit inappropriate. He voted for Trump. But you know what? The first time I met him, he used the correct pronouns. Something my mom, Jennifer Fischetti, sneaks in so she can take a nap. And Jen Fischetti in the chat, someone that on the regular fell asleep with me on the phone. I never took it personal though. I know that I just have I could do what is that, AMSR or AMSR, whatever. Oh, yeah, and it was 2 a.m. But seriously, I can talk on the phone until 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. But I would be talking to Jen, bop, 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 and all of a sudden I hear. Yeah. AMSR, yes, yes. I would not really like to do that though. But anyways, I've been told like how my voice sounds, and that's what's always been weird as a trans person. I hate my voice. I absolutely hate it. I cannot stand it. I've thought about having surgery, but there are some things that you just have to come to terms with. I mean, I could have surgery if I wanted to, but some of the surgeons that I've seen, a third of them have a good result, a third of them have a bad result, a third of them have no change, and you spend a lot of money. But well, and that's the thing, you guys. I understand that people do like my voice, but it's something. Here's something that's kind of weird. There's a duality being trans. There are things about me that other people like, and I can accept that. But I also can accept that I don't like them and that they're dysphoric for me. So whenever I'm doing audio recordings or editing or doing anything like that, I can't stand hearing my voice, but I just have to grit my teeth and get through it. Because this is what I got to work with. And You know, I'm at an age where the stuff that I want to have done to myself, I have to make choices about what gets done and what doesn't get done based on priority because I'm 53. You know, and you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So you got to, if they're from a trans perspective, you have to go with what is important to you first. But at the same time, you know, there are people that love me, and especially my girlfriend loves me for who I am, exactly where I am. And there's nothing better than that feeling, even though I don't feel like that about myself. It's amazing to have somebody love you like that. Love you exactly where you're at. Anyways, I'm gonna gush about her. But anyways, yeah. So that's my show for this evening. It is going on 2 hours that we've been here. If you're listening to the show and you're like, man, can't believe I missed this show, listen to Social Justice Alchemy. I believe Jonathan said that tomorrow is the Patreon show. I think our Patreon show will be next weekend or the weekend after that. But oh, no show tomorrow. Boo. Well, I might do another show then. Yeah, I like Jamie's voice. Oh man. That's a whole nother discussion. John Brockman is visiting his mother for Mother's Day. Oh, that's another. I hate Mother's Day. I hate. Yeah, so it'll be Patreon weekend. That sucks though. I was planning my whole Sunday around Social Justice Alchemy. So I don't know. Well, I'll decide tomorrow, but I may have a show tomorrow just because I want to do it. I want to have you all around on tomorrow. It'll be Marthy Social Justice Alchemy. How about that? Well, no, we're not being sweeties. We're not being nice. It's the thing. That's the thing. As a trans person, I can understand, like, the two things, like other people like about. There are the things that people like about me, and the things that I like about myself, and sometimes those things aren't the same. But I hate Mother's Day, by the way. I hate Mother's Day. Like I hate how sappy it is and how because there are a lot of mothers out there that are awful. I had a picture. I can't find it, but literally it said something along the lines of if I was half the person my mother is, I said I would be a monster. And it's true. Not everyone's mother is awesome, and Mother's Day is not it's something that I just kind of get sick of the sir be sweet stuff, because not everybody has that kind of relationship, and I don't feel bad about it. And Jennifer Fischetti in the chat says, lake of fire mothers. Yeah. Well, you know, there was a saying that I kind of adapted. There was a said people that parents that reject their trans kids, the children haven't failed, the parents have, and that's what I believe. If you reject your child because they're because of who they are, then they're not good people, and you shouldn't have to pretend like they are. Adam Rain Chat says Mother's Day and Father's Day are really weird, misogynistic, and have some undertones of resentment towards kids. Yeah, sometimes. It's one of those things, though. I mean, I might be jealous at times when people have good relationships with their mother, but not generally. Generally, it's more of a sense of I'm never going to have that, and I know that. And that's okay. I'm lucky because of the people that I've loved in my life, and the I can't complain about my life. I may not have a mother that loves me, but I have a fucking awesome life and people that care about me. So I'm not going to complain one bit. I'm going to have to do something with these cameras, though, because my green screen, you can see the last bit of it here. And on my other camera, my camera 2, which is the one that I use for the green screen. So it's not all in the picture. So I'll look over here. I'll look over here for camera 2 and over here for camera 1. This that we're on right now is camera 1. Camera 2 is my green screen camera, but I always look at the wrong camera. I need a red light. I need a red light that tells me what camera to look at. But yeah, when it comes to Mother's Day, I absolutely fucking hate it. I hate it because it's so syrupy sweet, and it's just like quotes on Facebook, that don't mean anything. Anyways. Oh, it's time for me to go. Thanks. I love the hat as well. My little ears. Red lights are for the bedroom. I'm not even gonna ask. I am gonna hang around like I usually do for about 5 or 10 minutes. But that's the show for tonight. Thank you all for coming, and tell me what you think. Tell me what you'd like to see, if there's anything that you would like me to do different. In the near future, I'm gonna have people that are gonna co-host with me. Actually, my son has said that he wants to do, I think, maybe once a month. I want to have more guests. I've thought about maybe having some contests. I don't know, though. I don't know. That's kind of capitalism, and I don't want to do capitalism on the show. Jamie, we'll just assume some stuff that you're talking about. I know what a red light is. I've been to Amsterdam. I am very worldly. But if you have anything that you would like to see on the show, I would like to have guests in the future. I don't know when that's going to happen. Literally, I'm just trying to get my feet under this and kind of do this kind of want to do. And it's kind of where I want it to be now. I like doing this. I do. I would like to have a little bit more back and forth with people in comments. I mean, I love the chat. You guys are awesome. But I'd like to have a more interactive discussion with people. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyways, let's see.
You can call the show.
No, you can't.
You're listening.
No, we're not.
Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified we go live.
Well, yeah. There's a part of this where it has to be capitalism, but it doesn't, because I'm not trying to be popular. I just want to have it. I want to have a show where we come together and talk about the things that are important to us and build community. So that's what I'm going to continue to do. Stay radical and be safe to the extent that such a thing is possible. See you all soon. Woohoo! You too, Adam. Be safe. Oh, you got to remind me. Charity links.page, everybody, if you want to help. Charitylinks.page. Go there to help. Give mutual aid. Help our brothers and sisters. And don't be a bad person. Be a good person. Go to charitylinks.page.